Morning. Welcome to the Going Executive Director Show. My name is Brandy and this is Jeff. And our purpose is to bring you the skills, techniques, inspiration, motivation, and daily activities needed for you to build a solid, profitable business. Now remember, this is our team's philosophy. If you're waiting for the MLM Leadership Show, that starts at noon. And here we are going to be talking about the company that we're in and giving more specifics on how to build your business. And right now we are going through John Maxwell's 21 indispensable qualities of a leader. And we are on quality 13, which is positive attitude. You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. So if you're extremely negative or always sad, never have anything really good to talk about, you're going to attract the same people. So what do you do when you're dealing with negative people, whether it be your family? I'm going to start off with family because a lot of people have this problem where their family is really not game with you building your business. The first time that I got in network marketing and I told my mom what I was doing, she canceled my debit card. She was like, this is a scam, you're going to get into trouble. They only want your money. And then it led to her canceling my card. I tried to explain to her what I had to order every month of product. And I tried to explain to her, well, I have to do that to make sure I'm still active. And this was the company I was in before, my very first company. And each time they pulled money out of my account so I could get my product that month, my mom's like, oh my God, they're stealing your money. And I was like, no, they're not stealing it. That I'm ordering stuff. Like that's how that's supposed to work. Anywho, she canceled my card. And I actually had to end up using a friend's credit card or debit card just so that way I could get my product each month and keep my account active. So that was fun. And I got a phone call from my stepdad saying, if you keep doing this, I'm not going to help you if you get into a financial situation where you can't take care of yourself. So just so you know. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But this is something I really want to do. So you guys could either be with me, and if you don't like it, that's fine, but this is something I really want to do. And then after that, my parents were actually pretty cool after that point. And they're like, okay, if that's what you really want to do, we don't like it, but we will support you from here on out. And they did too. I didn't hear any negative comments after that. Now, some people do hear some negative comments. I would get that from friends. They're like, so do you got your BMW Mercedes yet? And I'm like, you watch, I'll have it next year, which funny enough, I ended up getting a Mercedes the very next year, which that was actually a lot of fun. And I post that on Facebook. Nothing is more satisfying than success. I don't really get mad with certain people. I'll just use that energy to be like, I'm going to show you what I can do. And that's what you want to do. You want to use that in a positive manner. Now, what if you're dealing with a negative client or people from work? What I end up doing when I end up running into a negative client, most of the time I just nod my head and I'm like, oh, okay. But like in the massage business, thankfully, I don't have to deal with a whole lot of negative people when they come in, but on the rare occasion, I do just get somebody who is a Debbie Downer, and I just nod my head. I'm like, oh, that's too bad. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But the nice thing is I work in the massage business, and 15 minutes in, they fall asleep. So that's a plus. Now, people that you work with, there is this one time we had a lady that was working with us, and she just, every time she came in, it was negative, angry, just really nasty sometimes, and really made me feel uncomfortable. And I usually like to sit and listen to people, and I'm like, oh, how can I help you? Let's see what we can do. The problem was she just did not want to fix anything, and she just wanted to whine and complain. But it got so much to the point it was starting to make me frustrated and a little angry myself. So I actually had to distance myself from that person, and I would lock myself in my office and I just avoided her. Now, she did not stay with us, but for the time being, I was like, you know what, this is her attitude is starting to rub off on me, so I need to distance myself from this person so that way I'm not projecting this onto other people, which it was starting to happen. And Jeff actually pointed it out to me. He's like, man, what is your deal? And I'm like, I don't know. So it kind of helps to have somebody close to you that can point that out if somebody is noticing something, just sitting you down and being like, look, this isn't like you, what's going on? And sometimes you don't even realize it's happening until somebody points it out. So I had to space myself away from that person. And this can happen even at events. Not everybody is going to be positive when you go to events. And my recommendation for you, always be polite towards the people and respectful. But spend limited time with them. Go up, say hello, how are you doing? And there's always those people that are like, oh, well, it's raining. Oh my God, it's so hot outside. And then you're like, oh, that's great. Okay, I'll see you later. Be like, hey, I have to go talk to a couple other people. I will see you later. Hope you have a great evening. And excuse yourself from the conversation and go spend the time with the other positive people that are in the room. And if there is no positive people in the room, which has happened from time to time, be the positive person in the room. People like to hang around other people that have a positive energy and attitude. So if you are the positive person, everybody's going to flock to you. And when you talk about positive things, it will bring out positivity in other people. And when you go to a party, you'll see people flock to the most positive person. So if that person is not in the room, guess what? You need to be that person. You're responsible for your actions every day. And what you portray to people is what you're going to get back. So with that, Jeff is actually going to take over how you can bring more positivity into your leadership.
Cool. So John says, if you believe you can, you can. How do you get to that point? How do you become positive if you're not positive? I don't know about you, but I didn't grow up in the most positive atmosphere, the most positive environment. From school to the people I was around to family, not the most positive in the world. It says a great discovery of my generation is that human beings can actually alter their lives by altering their attitude of mind. That's actually a famous psychologist. Another good quote, it says, successful man is one who can lay a foundation with the bricks others have thrown at him. So you're going to get stuff coming at you regardless. There's no perfect environment, perfect world, especially if you're going to go build a business, you're going to hear stuff. So you kind of have to build yourself up, but you also have to build the people up around you if you expect them to kind of overcome this. Always seeing the best. And it's kind of like a mental process. So there's something in your brain that basically allows you to imagine. You're either going to imagine best case scenario, or you're going to imagine worst case scenario, but you can't imagine both at the same time. So what ends up happening is whatever you've been programmed to do, in most cases, you're going to go after the negative. Now, the reason you're going to go after the negative is your basic human instinct, the thing that's inside you that's kept, human race alive forever, is that basic human instinct, and usually it's negative. And the reason it's negative is that is what's kept us from walking off the cliff. That's what's kept us from going too far outside of the cave, too far outside of the village, too far outside of the town, too far outside of our city, into areas we don't know to get ourselves in trouble. Johnette's with us, Jim's with us, what's happening? So, it says, learn more about what positive means by altering these things and think on these things. It says your attitude is basically a choice. And that was the first thing that, you're negative by nature, but your attitude is a choice. So I had to understand this particular training from actually one of my mentors. Tim said, the people who are successful think right, to act right, to feel right. Think right, to act right, to feel right. Amanda, how are you? So, but what most people do is the exact opposite. Most people feel first, then they act, then they think, shit, what just happened? That's how most people run their life. But successful people think first and okay, what is the best case scenario here? What do I need to focus on? What do I need to do? Then they're going to, act upon it, then feel last. And what I found is if you consistently act on doing the right things, you will consistently feel the right things. That's usually 99% of the time how it works. You know, you might not feel perfect while you're doing it, but always after, you know, you have to look at hindsight, the 2020. That's when you know you were on track is, yeah, this was really best case scenario. And another thing that I've learned is, you know, short-term people usually get themselves in the most trouble. Short-term people usually have the worst feeling. Kanisha, I did get your text this morning. I'll be texting that person back as soon as I get off of this training, or actually the next training. Also, I talked with Kareem yesterday, and we had a great conversation. I actually sent him some information. So, about real estate, actually. That's what we were talking about. So next, choose your attitude. 2, your attitude determines your actions. So how you go in initially thinking about something, what's going to happen. When you think about what's going to happen, it has a lot to do with the actions you take. So obviously, if I'm going to pick up a bunch of leads and I'm going to call them, and I believe that I'm going to find the person today that I'm going to recruit, the likelihood of me finding that person is much, much better. But if I attack the leads, and I have people say this all the time, you know, they're like, oh yeah, I got to call those stupid leads, and I'm probably just going to hear, you know, I don't want to do it, and you know, those people are so negative, and those people are so this. I'm like, yeah, and it's rubbing off on you, obviously. But they're projecting out what's going to happen or what's not going to happen. So almost like before you go do any activity, you have to think, what is the best case scenario? And then act upon it. Now, inside of our traditional business, inside of the massage, Reiki, holistic business, we have some people that are not the most positive. Mulaney, how are you? We have people that aren't the most positive people that come in. But I always have to remind myself, best case scenario. I'm like, yeah, it isn't the most positive scenario every single time that I'm talking to people, but who else gets paid over $100 an hour to listen to somebody for, you know, as Brandy said, 20 minutes before they fall asleep? Once the person comes in and we get paid for it, I remind myself, I have to remind myself on a consistent basis, like, who else does this? You know, who else basically gets to set their own schedule? Who else makes several $100s a day? Who else gets to watch? Like, I'm usually watching a movie on top of the fact of talking to a client and working on it. I mean, it's like the easiest thing, actually, that I've ever done. For the amount of money that we're, you know, transacting during that transaction. And we have a huge client base. We built that because of the positive attitude. So many people have come in and said, well, the reason I come back to you is because A, you listen, which was a lesson that we just talked about, and that we're positive. You know, people kind of look for that hope. They look for that encouragement. They look for those compliments of things are going to get better. People look for that because by nature we're negative. So it's fun to be around people who are positive, who see the right light. 3, your people are a mirror of your attitude. So Brandy started out with saying, you know, you attract those who are like you. That's who your group becomes. That's who the people you're around become. You're going to attract those kind of people. So the more positive you are, the more positive people. The more negative you are, the more negative. You know, people are like, dang it, my family's always negative and they don't help me and this, that, and the other thing. And my work sucks and my car is terrible and the house I live in and my neighbors. And I'm like, well, I see it's kind of rubbed off on you too. You're basically talking about these people, but at the same time, you're repeating all the garbage that they've repeated to you. So therefore, you're part of the problem too. So what I did is I started isolating myself away from people. And that's one of the things that you absolutely positively have to do if you expect to keep a good attitude and want a good attitude. There's certain people you just can't spend a lot of time with. Doesn't mean you still can't love the family. Doesn't mean you still can't see them. But some people you're spending a week with, you may need to spend a day. Some people you're spending a day with, you may need to spend an hour. Some people you're spending an hour with, you may need to spend 10 minutes. You know, and there may be a 10-minute time. You may need to spend 30 seconds. Hey, what's going on? Hey, good to see you. Yeah, absolutely. Got to go. You know, there are certain people that's just the way it is. And it's funny, the more you'll listen to bullshit and garbage, the more people will talk to you. When you isolate yourself away from it and be like, look, somebody comes to me with this bullshit story, I'm out. You have to, I mean, yes, listen to certain people. Like in the beginning, when I'm first meeting somebody, I'm going to listen to who they are and what they're about. But pretty soon, if it's just garbage all the time, if they lift up their, head and it's just garbage spewing out of their head, I'm just like, I'm done. 30 seconds. Hey, it's good to see you. And then, oh my God, you're not going to believe what happened. And you're right. I'm fucking not going to believe you at all because I'm not going to sit around and listen to this shit. I don't have time for it. I have enough problems in my life.
And actually, I had a friend who was really bad at this. And her and I actually don't speak anymore because of this. Every time she would call me, it was always something terrible happened to her that day. But that was the only time she would call me. Finally, it got so bad to the point where, like, every time she did text me or call me, I didn't want to answer the phone because I'm like, oh, Jesus, what happened this time? I actually had to tell her and point out to her, I'm like, look, are you aware that every time you call me, it's only to talk to me because something terrible happened? And I'm like, now, if we want to continue being friends, I want to keep you as a friend, but the next time you call me, or the next few times you call me, you need to be talking about something positive, because if you message me or call me one more time and want to boo-hoo about something that happened to you that day, because she would do this on purpose. She was that person that would just get herself into a bad situation just so people would pay attention to her, which was unfortunate. But I was trying to coax her into a more positive light. But I'm like, if you message me or call me one more time and it's just negative or something happened, I will stop talking to you. And I'm like, it only needs to happen one more time. And sure enough, right next day, she's just like, oh my God, I have to talk to you. Like, I know you said this, but this I really need to talk to you about. And I'm like, no, we're not going to have that conversation. I told you that this was the last straw, that I'm not going to be your garbage bag for you to throw garbage in all the time. I'm like, you either talk to me about something that's positive or we don't talk anymore. And unfortunately, you do have to put your foot down with certain people, but sometimes it's putting that foot down that people understand where your boundaries are. Now, we didn't talk for over a year. We just now started talking again, and now she's like, okay, I get it. So sometimes you kind of have to do that, and it's hard. Like, this person I spent a lot of time with, and this was like one of my really good friends from college, but sometimes you have to do that. But anyway, I'll let you get back to what you were talking about.
So maintaining a good attitude is absolutely something you have to do inside of your business. Alex is with us. What's happening? So maintaining a good attitude is actually easier than retaining one. So, always coming back. And the people you're around have a lot to do with it. So how do you keep on track? That's where personal development comes in. That's where kind of starting out your day, whether it be something you listen to, whether it be something you watch, whether it be something you read. Some people it's meditation, some people it's affirmation. It just kind of depends on who you are. You may be going into a negative environment every day. Sometimes it's headphones. If it's not headphones, sometimes it's earplugs. I just don't want to listen to the garbage around me. Noise canceling earphones, they're awesome. People are like, oh my gosh, those are so expensive. I'd rather have $200 around my head to protect what's inside than listen to this crap that's on the outside, because that's worth a lot more to keep it away from you. So to reflect on it, basically to bring it home, it says to improve your attitude, do the following things. Feed yourself the right food. So just like you're going to feed yourself the right food for your body, and your body's going to be better, you have to feed your right food for the mind, for basically you to think upon the most positive things. Everybody's watched an emotional movie. Everybody's watched an emotional or uplifting, shall I say, YouTube video. I specifically go out and find those type of videos and I share them. The reason I share them is it's almost like you're just projecting out good all the time. Whether it be America's Got Talent or whether it be what's the other show? The singing one.
America's Got Talent.
You know what I'm talking about. Somebody on here knows what I'm talking about.
For those of you who don't know, Jeff and I own a TV, but we don't have television, so we're really not up to date.
I'm talking about YouTube.
Oh, YouTube?
You see it on time all the time. But anyway, it's basically, whether it be a performance, a show, a dance, singing, people who, were unlikely to hit and now all of a sudden, have this amazing talent to be able to. Britain's Got Talent, I watched those two. And that's kind of keeping that uplifting spirit of people overcoming stories. You know, I constantly, put out stories. Sometimes it's weird stuff. The Voice. Thank you,
Voice.
Jonette.
There we go.
So to improve, feed yourself the right food. I go back to The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. In The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, he says, if you want to learn anything, if you want to get good at anything, buy 5 books on the subjects, 3 audios, go to 1 seminar. And, if you only did that a year, you'd be better off, like 5 to 10 times better off than every single person on the planet, because every single person on the planet doesn't do any of that. There's a interesting study that says that if you read 3 books on any one subject, you're smarter than 80% of the public on that subject. 3 books. So 3 books on personal development, 3 books on leadership, 3 books on attitude, 3 books on network marketing, 3 books on any specific subject, you're smarter than 80% of the public usually on that subject. What happens when you read 10 or 20 or 50, or even you make a goal to read 100 books on a specific subject? How much smarter you are than the average person. On top of that, listening to the audios and then going to the seminar. Now, one of the cool things about going to seminars, specifically in an area, is not necessarily what you're going to get out of the seminar itself. Because I have friends that are like, oh, I already know that stuff. Oh, great. Yeah, but your life is reflecting what you know. And it looks like you don't know any of it. But one of the reasons you want to go there is not necessarily for the content on the stage, but for the community that's watching the stage. The community, those are the people that you want to get in contact with. So whether it be a Tony Robbins or a Les Brown or Eric Thomas, Eric Worre, whether it be your national convention, I would attend other people's conventions if I could sneak in and not get my picture taken, just to be around some of the other people in the industry. And that's why we look at going to generic events, leadership events, network marketing based events, where it's just generic training. That's why we get around that for the other people in the room, because so many people will ask questions afterwards. Well, how did you do that? Achieve a goal every day. So this comes down to the personal development side, where John Maxwell says, every single day, John said his secret to success is every single day he did 5 things. What time is it? So we got about 10 minutes. Every single day he did these 5 things. Every single day he read, every single day he wrote, every single day he asked questions, every single day he thought, and every single day he filed. Now, he filed the stuff that he was thinking upon, writing upon, and he would write and basically file away things like words. He would file away things like stories. He'd file away things like jokes. He would file away things like quotes. And he had a cabinet full of thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of these note cards, that when he went to write a book or he went to write an article, he went to speak, he would be able to pull from these files on these different subjects. Oh, that's a really good subject of attitude. That's a really good subject. So he didn't just read, he studied. He didn't just write, he organized. He didn't just file stuff anywhere. He basically was creating a database full of information that he could pull from. What was the result of that? The result was he was organized. The result was he got really, really good at writing and putting these ideas together. He got really, really good at speaking. He got really, really good at training. Therefore, if you don't know this, I just looked this up recently. Go look up John Maxwell's net worth. John Maxwell's, just put in John C. Maxwell's net worth. Go look it up. It absolutely blew me. I knew that he was worth a lot of money. I knew that he had sold like 30 million books. I knew that he made $125,000 a speech. But I didn't have any idea how much he had accumulated and kept together. Absolutely astronomical. So achieve a goal every day. How do you do that? You pick out the 5 most important things you could do every day, and you make sure you get those done. If you're getting done the development side, what I know will happen is everything else comes from the development side. So when you start reading every day, that will accumulate into activity. If you start listening every day, not necessarily just to this, but to like John Maxwell or a Tony Robbins or an Eric Thomas or a Les Brown, or, there's so many great people out there. It compounds into activity. Write it on your wall. Write it on your wall, Facebook wall. Write it on your LinkedIn wall. write it on Twitter, write it on Instagram. So one of the key things that I've found that's most attractive, that I've been told is most attractive, is when you go read something and then you start putting up the quotes or the ideas or the stories after you read it. You take from what you've read the most important 2 to 3 things, and that's what you're posting on your Facebook wall. Instead of, hey, did you see this bird? Did you see this chipmunk? Did you see this cat? And I'm just as guilty as anybody. But that's the stuff that people are like, wow, this person, you know, somebody said, wow, you know, you're always coming up with great stuff. I'm not coming up with it. I'm just reading it other places and basically putting it out there. But if you're going to write something down, that would be something good to put on the wall. The takeaway, your positive attitude will attract the people that you want around you. If you want more positive people around you and you want to attract positive people, become a positive person. That positive attitude is a result of basically the input that's coming in. If garbage is coming in, garbage is going out. If good stuff's coming in, then good stuff's what's going to come out. You don't really have a choice. If you have to isolate yourself down to the point where you just listen to audios and you just read every day, and that's really becomes your social life, because that's what I had to do. I had to basically distance myself from all these other people that I knew. That became my social life. You know, I had to distance myself from family. I had to distance myself from a lot of the friends I had. I had to distance myself from a lot of the coworkers I had. That's all I focused on. That's how I was able to improve fast, real fast. And then I put together a system, which is what one of my mentors said. He goes, the only thing that will overcome this negativity is putting together a system that will override your basic human instinct. Your basic human instinct will always want to go back and keep you in that place. Always. So what you have to do is put together a system that is trackable, that can beat that negativity. And the system I developed was read every day, listen every day, you know, attend, you know, all the events that I need to attend, and then start building relationships. And my goal was to start building relationships with people who are making things happen, making money. I started reaching out to the people who were, you know, doing well. And my thing is I started reaching out to people who did 7 figures and above. If they didn't do 7 figures and above, I'm like, I want to do 7 figures and above, so why would I sit down and talk to somebody who makes 6 figures? It's nothing wrong with them, but like if I want to learn how to do it, the more conversations I can have with people who make 7 figures, the closer I'll get. You know, the closest I've come so far is about 40 grand in a month, which isn't bad, but it's also not good. It's not even halfway there. So, you know, that's what I've been working towards, building towards. But if you get to 40, you can get to 50. If you get to 50, you're halfway there, or a little over halfway there to $83,333 in a month, which is what it would take to make $1 million a year. So with that, that is a wrap for today. That is a wrap for the week. Every day, Monday through Friday, we actually cover, right now, one of the 21 Qualities of a Leader by John Maxwell. This is a really good book. You can pick it up at Half Price Books, by the way. You can probably order it on Amazon for way more. But I kind of collect these, get these together. Jim Hendricks is with us. What's up, sir? Or James, I'm sorry. It's Jim Addicks, James, live. Yeah, absolutely. So this is a great book to get. Great book to share with other people. As my friend said, if you're really negative and somebody gives you how to win friends and influence people like 15 times, that's a clue. You should actually take that pretty seriously and open that book and read it. So that is what I have for today. Guys, have a great weekend. Brady, anything else?
Yeah, leave a comment. Replay, if you guys are watching the replay, type in where you guys are coming in from. And since we're talking about positive attitude, let's start off with a positive attitude today and leave a comment below of what are you thankful for today. Like, we want to know. Like, and with this reflection, you will start off with a positive attitude today. So with that, we will see you guys on Monday.
Yep. Problem solving. Thanks so much.